I always feel like I'm back at the starting line. I begin so many things, but at some point I lose interest, lose patience, and then I quit halfway. And then I start something new, over and over, year after year. I don't understand. Why do I keep getting stuck like this? That was the honest confession of a 29-year-old Sagittarius, someone who once believed that as long as he had enough passion and freedom, he would go far. But now looking back, he realizes he's gone to many places, yet arrived nowhere. Not because he lacked talent, not because he lacked opportunity, but because of certain patterns, thoughts, and ingrained instincts quietly holding him back, while on the outside he always seemed to be moving forward. Maybe you, a Sagittarius, have also felt that same way. The feeling of having so much potential but never quite reaching it. So many dreams, but so few tangible results. If you've ever asked yourself, why haven't I been able to break through? Then astrology offers a lens into why that might be. In astrology, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, truth, belief, and ideals. Those with their sun, moon, rising, or multiple personal planets in Sagittarius carry a unique energetic field, expansive, exuberant, radiant. They are born with an instinctive urge to reach beyond, to go out into the world, to break free of structures, to escape the limits of their comfort zone. That's why they're often seen as the inspirers, the forward movers, the ones who never seem to tire. But those who've studied the birth charts of Sagittarians closely all notice one recurring pattern. Beneath all that light lies a clear cycle of inner crisis, one that quietly repeats itself over the years unless consciously addressed. They start fast, they shine bright, but they also give up halfway. They carry immense faith, but often skip over the deeper lessons because they don't stay long enough with themselves. They live through ideals, but many never turn those ideals into anything real. Why? Because Jupiter, though known as the planet of luck, also has a shadow. It makes you believe you already know. It makes you overconfident too soon. It makes you crave the new and exciting while avoiding the old and unfinished. And most dangerously, it makes you trust that everything will work out somehow, even when you haven't taken any meaningful steps to change. Many astrologers, from Liz Green to Dane Rudyard, have said Sagittarius cannot truly mature until they learn how to pause, not to give up, but to look inward, gently, deeply, honestly. So if you've ever asked yourself, why do I have the talent but still haven't made it? Why do I feel like I keep spinning in cycles of excitement and burnout? Why do others seem stable while I still feel like I'm just getting ready? Then maybe the 7 reasons below are the hidden puzzle pieces your birth chart quietly programmed in from the start. Not to stop you, but to challenge you. Will you dare to truly look within and change? 1. So free that commitment feels like a threat. Some people are born with legs that always ache to move forward, not because they hate commitment, but because deep inside them the idea of being committed always seems to come with the risk of losing their freedom. If you're a Sagittarius or have Jupiter the 9th house, or dominant fire placements in your birth chart, then this urge to expand, explore, and change is a deep-rooted part of you. You're not being impulsive or impatient on purpose. That's simply how your inner energy operates. It pushes you to see more, know more, live more. The problem is, every time you begin to settle, something in your subconscious stirs. You start to feel trapped. A job that's becoming routine, a relationship that's starting to ask for consistency, a project that requires repetition. All of it makes you pull away. No one taught you to live like this, but maybe somewhere in your early experiences you started to associate staying with losing yourself. You once tried to trust, you once tried to go deeper, and when it all fell apart, you carved this belief into your heart: I won't let that happen again. So now you carry with you a kind of preemptive retreat, even when everything is calm. You're not doing it wrong. You're simply living the way your birth chart was programmed. But if you keep repeating that reflex, you'll always move sideways, never deep. The truth is, Jupiter, your ruling planet, isn't just the planet of discovery. It's also the planet of higher wisdom. And wisdom only matures when you have the patience to dig deeper. Not every commitment is a cage. Some commitments, if you choose wisely, are what lead you to your deepest freedom. The freedom of no longer needing to run. The freedom of facing repetition and not letting it devour your sense of self. 2. So optimistic you ignore reality. You always believe that things will work out in the end, but sometimes they don't. And yet you keep going as if nothing ever happened. As a sign ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius carries an instinct to believe in luck, to believe in the good, to believe that every challenge has a reason and that eventually things will turn around. That belief is a gift, but also a double-edged sword. Because when you're used to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, you tend to ignore the warning signs. You're more likely to act on impulse than prepare. You avoid questions like, what if I fail? What if I'm wrong? What if things don't go the way I thought? And then, when reality doesn't meet your expectations, you don't stop to learn from your mistakes. You pivot and begin again somewhere new. Others may look at you and think you're careless, but in truth, there's a part of you that just can't bear the feeling of disappointment. You smile through it. You retell the whole story like it was a funny adventure. But deep down, you've never really accepted that you were wrong, that it hurt, that maybe you didn't think it all the way through. That's why you haven't broken through. Not because you aren't smart enough, but because you always move on before you finish learning the lesson from the last time. Your birth chart doesn't cast you as a victim. It gives you the energy to stay optimistic through hardship. But if you live only on belief without a foundation, you'll keep leaping from one journey to the next without ever building anything truly solid. Optimism doesn't mean bypassing the hard stuff. It means looking reality in the eye and still choosing to move forward with clearer eyes, steadier hands, and a heart that finally understands. 3. Brutally honest to the point of cutting deep. There are times when you just want to say it plain and simple, and then afterward you notice the other person's eyes soften, not because they understood, but because they were hurt. With strong fire energy, especially from Sagittarius, words are more than a tool for communication. They're a weapon, a flame, a way for you to defend your beliefs. Jupiter's rulership gives you something rare, the ability to see far, understand fast, and connect dots that others miss. And most of the time, you feel you're right, deeply right. But that's also why you easily become someone without breaks. You speak the things others hide. You don't shy away from the sharp, the uncomfortable, the inconvenient truths. It's just that you often forget truth, when not wrapped in kindness, can still make people bleed. You don't mean to hurt anyone. You simply think, I'm saying this, so they'll get it, so they'll wake up. But have you ever stopped to ask, are they ready to hear it? Are they in a place safe enough to receive it? Not everyone wears the same armor you do. Not everyone can withstand a storm that comes in the form of a brutally honest sentence. And that loneliness you often feel after saying it like it is. It's not because you were wrong. It's because the way you said it shut the door to connection right when it was beginning to open. In the birth chart, Jupiter represents more than just truth. It also symbolizes wisdom. And wisdom isn't just about knowing when to speak. It's about knowing when to stay silent so that others still want to listen next time. You don't need to be less honest. You just need to be a little less rushed. So your truth has the chance to become something healing, not just a deadly strike. 4. Easily excited, quickly bored. You can turn an ordinary day into something magical if it's the first day. But by day 17, when everything starts to repeat, you begin to wonder, should I be doing something new instead? One of the most defining traits of Sagittarius, or of those with a strong 9th house Jupiter or dominant fire energy, is the inability to stay still. You crave exploration. You constantly need inspiration. Novelty is your fuel. Movement is your oxygen. That's why you start incredibly fast, but you rarely make it to the finish line. Not because you lack ability, but because you lose interest faster than results can show up. You're not lazy. In fact, there are times when you work like crazy without breaks, without food. But the moment your work begins to require repetition, maintenance, refinement, you feel drained. You need something to ignite you. And if nothing gives you that spark, you quietly turn away. You're not someone who breaks promises. It's just that you tell yourself, this probably isn't for me. And you go looking for the next thing that feels more like you. Again, your birth chart runs on this energy. Jupiter wants expansion, fire seeks change. The 9th house longs for adventure. But the shadow of expansion is a lack of foundation. You keep flying, but without roots, you'll never be able to build anything lasting. Breakthrough doesn't come from adrenaline. It comes from the days you keep going. Even when there's nothing new, no applause, and nothing glittering in sight. You don't have to suffocate your explorers, their soul. But you do have to learn to stay long enough to see the beauty hiding inside the repetition. Because sometimes the most important things don't reveal themselves at the starting line. They only appear somewhere deep into the road that no longer excites you. 5. Avoiding negative emotions. You've been hurt, but you didn't say it out loud. You packed your bag, opened Google Maps, booked a flight, or maybe you just scrolled TikTok until morning. Anyone born under Sagittarius energy or with a strong Jupiter or 9th house is gifted with one thing, the ability to move on. You don't linger too long in sadness. You don't like feeling like the victim, and this is what you do best. Turn away quickly and paint a new dream to chase. At first, it seems like a good thing. You keep moving forward, you get back to work, you smile like nothing ever happened, but you know it. There are emotions you've never really touched fully. The anger you swallow, the disappointment you rationalize, the feeling of being abandoned, betrayed, dismissed you, wrap it up and label it something from the past. Then you leave, you try a new journey, and every time you feel exhausted, you think, maybe I just need a change. But maybe what you really need is to stop and sit with the sadness instead of outrunning it with new adventures. Because emotions that aren't processed become heavy stones. They don't dissolve with time, they just sit quietly inside you until something small breaks you, and you don't even know why. In astrology, Jupiter's the planet of growth, but real growth doesn't always mean going further. Sometimes it means digging deeper into what you once left behind. You don't have to be strong all the time. No one expects you to always be cheerful, always ready to start over. But if you want to truly break through, not just in your work, but inside yourself, then you have to stop. Open the door to that old room and sit with yourself, even if it's just once. 6, not great at working in teams. You like working alone. When you're by yourself, things move faster, feel more in control, more breathable. But then there are days when you secretly wish someone could understand the way your mind works. Sagittarius is the sign of freedom, of personal quests. Jupiter's expansive energy gives you big picture thinking, but it also makes it harder for you to accept other perspectives. You trust your intuition, you make decisions quickly, you act based on your vision. But when you're placed in a team where people move at different speeds, need more time, need more explaining, you feel like you're being pulled backward, and so you withdraw. You choose to handle your part. You rarely share too much. You avoid conflict by simply not speaking, not discussing, not needing input. It's not that you lack the ability to work in teams. It's just that in the past, maybe you've been misunderstood. Maybe you shared an idea and people laughed. Maybe you were enthusiastic and got dismissed. Maybe you tried to compromise and only received vagueness and delay in return. Since then, you built a wall around yourself. I'll just do it on my own. The problem is, every time you choose to go it alone, you're also shrinking the size of the dream you're chasing. There are some projects too big for one person to carry. Some roads that, the deeper you go, the more you need someone beside you. Your birth chart doesn't forbid collaboration. It just trains you to trust yourself more than anyone else. But sometimes to break through, it's not that you need help. You just need to open up first, to realize there really are people who want to walk beside you, if you're willing to match their pace for just the first few steps. 7, living in ideals, lacking real action. But when it's time to actually begin, you hesitate. With Jupiter as your ruling planet, you carry within you a vast mental landscape. You don't just think about what you constantly ask why. You need purpose. You need meaning. You need to know that what you're doing is connected to something bigger than yourself. And that's beautiful, but it's also exhausting. Because sometimes while you're still searching for the deeper meaning of something, other people have already finished doing it. You can talk for hours about an idea, a plan, a life vision, but you're also the one who quits by week 3 because it no longer feels inspiring enough. You have ideals, but ideals don't set your alarm clock. They don't sit you down, open your laptop, and make you take the tiny steps. You have philosophy, but philosophy doesn't carry you through the first 3 months of repetition, dryness, boredom. People may think you're a dreamer, but deep down you're not shallow. It's just that you feel like a caged bird every time you have to follow a process, and you don't know how to turn a vision into something real without losing the freedom in your mind. But Jupiter, your planet, doesn't just speak of ideals, it also stands for spiritual maturity. And maturity is knowing no journey skips over the dull terrain, no success is built without small, repetitive, often invisible steps. You don't need to give up your dream, you just need to sit down and start with the smallest thing, even when there's no inspiration, even when no one sees it yet. Not to just get it done, but to prove to yourself that you have what it takes to make your vision real with your own hands and your own time. No one can deny the light Sagittarius carries. Wherever you go, you bring enthusiasm, a broad perspective, and a rare gift for connecting with things beyond the ordinary. You're intelligent, intuitive. You see beauty before others even recognize it might exist. But because you always look far, sometimes you don't look closely enough. Astrologers who've studied hundreds of Sagittarius charts all notice the same truth. It's not the world that holds Sagittarius back, it's Sagittarius holding themselves back. Held by habits they believe are just who I am, when in fact they're old armor dressed as instinct. Armor that says, I need freedom, I can't be tied down. That kind of person's not for me. I don't feel inspired. I don't need anyone. I just need a new idea. And so you keep going, keep speaking, keep starting. But what you truly want remains somewhere behind you. No one is forcing you to change. But those who've witnessed the many versions of Sagittarius know there comes a moment when you have to choose. Choose to stay so you can finally know what it means to see something through. Choose to listen so you can learn something you didn't know. Choose to be patient so you can feel yourself evolve without losing who you are. And most importantly, choose to change not for anyone else, but for the version of you you've always dreamed of becoming. Everything you want isn't waiting far away. It begins the moment you choose to sit down and change just one small thing about how you live each day. Perhaps you're a Sagittarius who has already traveled through most of life. You've tasted bitterness and sacrifice. You know exactly what you've had to give up. Or maybe you're a Sagittarius at the height of your journey, charging forward with all your strength, fueled by a faith that feels unshakable. Each of us is walking a different stretch of the road. Some carry scars, some still burn with fire. But wherever you are, surely you've lived through something that taught you more about yourself than any book ever could. If you're someone who's faced disappointment, who's quit halfway, who's wished just once that you would pause to look back sooner, share that experience in the comments. Let younger Sagittarians glimpse themselves more clearly and maybe sidestep a few unnecessary wounds. If you're a younger Sagittarius feeling lost, stuck, uncertain of yourself, be brave enough to share what you're struggling with. Because somewhere out there, someone who once stood where you are now may be here ready to help you avoid the hardest parts of a road they know too well. And if this video meant something to you, whether you're a Sagittarius or not, share it. Hit subscribe. Not just to spread a message, but to better understand that one Sagittarius in your life. And maybe learn how to hold on to them before they change course and chase another path once again.